Okay, well, we'll make a start, and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's session with LightYear Docs. LightYear Docs have an incredible relationship with BGL, and we've really seen this business and this group of great people just come together and build a great product and service offering. And I'd just like to introduce you all to Michael and Laura and Grant. Thank you for coming on board. It's a pleasure to have you.
Great, thanks, Daniel.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
We're thrilled to be able to put before you a document provider that we know makes a great difference to the products and services that we provide, but we also know that they deeply care about what they deliver, their engagement, and getting feedback personally about their level of care and the ability for them to jump and wanting to jump on the phones and help clients out when they come across situations is so refreshing to hear. They're quality people with a quality product, and what I hear about their documents is that it's very much second to none. And Grant, thank you for putting together a great team and for providing this great service. We love the relationship, and I'm going to hand that over to you because I'm sure that you've got lots to say about your product and service offerings and how our clients can depend on what you do to not only mitigate their risk, but to position themselves and their clients in the best manner possible to deal with the complexities of what they deal with.
Great, thanks for that, Daniel. And look, we've been building a good little ecosphere as the world goes with BGL, and also very importantly with Change GPS. And I've seen a good buddy there, Tim Munro, on this session. And really from where we stand at LightYear Docs, it's really important, obviously, with Top Docs moving out of the BGL stable over to Class. We want to not necessarily replace them because, they don't do what we do. We're more technology driven, but again, as Daniel said, we're very hands-on in that you've got access to full technical and strategy support, which is unheard of in anyone at all in the marketplace. I receive, as do my team at Abbott & Morley and our paralegals, which is included as part of your package. You've got the ability to ask us questions. You've got the ability to ask Michael questions, and all the team. And it's not just technical support. And in fact, we run 7 days a week. We have a weekend team as well. But we're always coming up against some, tough issues. People who have, I was just doing one recently, only about half an hour ago, with a client who had a discretionary trust deed, and they finally found out, well, the bank found out, and the banks are getting very pedantic on their documentation these days. If it's not like right on point, then it's going to cost you $2,000 to $3,000 to fix up. And they're picking up a lot of stuff. This one was a company that was deregistered a few years ago, and we had to go in and fix it up. For that sort of stuff, that's just part and parcel of the course for us. But we don't just stop at, strategies and tax solutions. We've also got CPD training and CPE training for accountants. I mean, we can offer it very ineffectively, inexpensively, but very effectively. You'll see technology is being driven, so that enables us to provide most of our documents, and you're going to go through some really hardcore stuff a little bit later on, for only $99 maximum if you're getting a single document. And again, that's unheard of, and it's not for lack of quality. It's just simply we make sure we got the best quality, but we're able to offer it a lower cost, mainly because of the platform that we're using. And part of that process is we've always come at it with an educational background. For those of you who've known me, I started off my life as teaching and then moved into the law. So the CPD training is really important to us. And we believe a learning organisation is an organisation that has got momentum, is really pushing on. And particularly in these days of COVID and lockdown, and look, we just don't know what's coming around the corner. It's important for everyone in the team to know and really start to build on some of these strategies that we'll be laying out. And I think that's absolutely crucial. And again, part of the package includes that CPD, and we've got CPD tracker that that Michael has developed along with Ash at our office as well. So we're in a really good position. I want to just take you through a bit, but Michael, do you want to have a quick chat and come at it from your perspective, because you're virtually our Mr. Companies in terms of LightYear Docs.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. I mean, obviously, I come from it from both sides of the fence, and as you mentioned before, our ecosystems and our partnerships are extremely important to us. I only put forward to our users and members products that I've used or utilised myself. I'm a BGL Simple Fund user and BGL CAS user. I will start using BGL Invest as well. As you mentioned before, Change GPS. I'm a Change GPS user. I'm a LightYear Docs user, but I'm also a director and of LightYear Group, and I've been with you for and Ash from just after startup and seen the journey. And we're more than just. Majority of our competitors are just document providers. We're more than a document provider. We provide the strategy and support, as you said. And Daniel mentioned before we jumped on the live that he gets a lot of feedback in terms of that people are surprised when Grant or myself jump on a support call or a support issue. We've got a great support team behind us, but yeah, we are part of it and we get involved as and when we need to, and we're always there and available. The legal sign-off is such an important thing, and our relationship with Abbott and Morley as well. So, and the opportunity. So, in terms of it's not just you can get a document, you can actually get it reviewed if you want to. You can get assistance from Abbott and Morley, and plus all our other ecosystem partners that are sister entities as well.
Yeah, I think we've also got Laura there. So Laura's who's our business manager. So if there's any issues, you can always go through to her. We've got a really good, robust. We just did quite a significant capital raise, so we're not there to go and be sold to anyone. We're there in the long term, and we've got a really strong vision in the future around our partners. And when I mean our partners, we see all of our accountants and also to a lesser extent the planners who utilise us as being our partners in delivering the documents. You may not be aware we're completely different because of the system we're doing. There's not a huge amount of code that's built into the system. So we've got a separate system that then enables us to build templates. We've got over 120 templates in our system, but we've also got multi-document strategies. So, for example, you could, I'll talk a little bit about one a little bit later on. We call it the Protector. It's a gift loan back asset protection mechanism that all our advisors are essentially, or accountants are using for their clients. Look, in this day and age, virtually everyone who's got a family home needs the Protector, and they're charging generally between $4,000 to $5,000 for it. Now on our system, if you buy it as a package of documents, because there's around about 7 or 8 documents in it, it's only, I think, $540. But if you're on our subscription package, which is certainly not that expensive, where you have unlimited documents, you can just run as many of those as you want a month. And certainly super successful accounting firms such as Tim Munro are running down that way and really adding hundreds of thousands of dollars to their bottom line, giving clients, believe it or not, what they want, giving them bloodline planning, giving them asset protection, protecting their family wealth. In this day and age, it's absolutely crucial. But just to backtrack here a little bit, you can see up on the page, and I don't want to spend a lot of time there, we've got a whole suite of companies I'm going to run you through: trust, unit trust, loan agreements. I've just put up a nice Div 7A umbrella loan agreement, which is fantastic, which you can actually use promissory notes for dividends that go out and to be replaced or diminish a Div 7A loan, mainly because the Commissioner said that effectively just doing book entries isn't good enough for Div 7A. We obviously have the skills of SMSFs. I've written 5 books on it. So I've written more than 2 million words on SMSFs and given more than 1,500 presentations. So there's not much that we don't know. And we produced a whole lot of documents around it, including SMSF Wills, which is a very fancy form of BDBN, mainly because BDBNs just don't work. If you're using BDBNs for your clients, you're really putting yourself out on a limb, because effectively, if anything goes wrong, particularly these days of family provisions claims, your clients or their dependents can sue you for loss or damages simply by using a BDBN. We're finding a lot of our accountants, we also offer wills and EPOAs, which is really important. For those of you who do SMSFs, the EPOAs, you can do a special EPOA, which just enables, for example, with the 6-member SMSFs that we have, to have, for example, just 1 or 2 directors, but have 6 members of the fund. And it's simply by way of utilising an EPOA, a special purpose EPOA, where you provide your power of attorney, this special purpose power of attorney, the ability to act as your director in accordance with section 17A(3), and also the Commissioner's guidelines on EPOAs in his SMSF ruling 2010/1. Now, the wills itself, some of you may have been doing wills, etc., through Top Docs, which is essentially just giving everything over to Top Docs, and they charge a fee. We don't do that sort of stuff. We prefer that you, and that's why we do so much training. Over the last year, we've done more than 40 hours of specific wills, testamentary trust, EPOA, advanced healthcare directives, medical guardianship training to our users. And let's face it, I mean, you guys have the close relationships with your clients. You know what's good, what's bad. So through our system, what we do is you can draft up the wills, the EPOAs, the SMSF wills, and everything is signed off by Abbott and Morley. If you want, and it comes up a really big case, so you're a little bit concerned, you can then just dial in. You prepare all the documents, get the data capture from your clients, and that's all provided through us, or alternatively change GPS. And then what happens is you send us the documents, and then we can have a Zoom meeting with a client at Abbott and Morley and get it all signed off. So whichever way it is, we make sure that we deliver a very effective package for you, but more importantly, provides increased revenue for you through strategies, because it's all about strategy at the end of the day. No one is going to make a fortune from doing compliance or tax returns. And as the economy is starting to falter a little bit, this strategy side, this protection of the family wealth is absolutely crucial. You may not be aware there's in excess of $8 trillion of property in Australia, residential property that's sitting in individuals' names, whether it's their family home or investment property. All of that is exposed. In fact, I've got a blog coming up on Friday talking about the exposure and the need to easily put in place that gift loan back, that protector, where there's no CGT, there's no stamp duty. The client still retains legal title, still has all the tax advantages, but effectively the family wealth is protected in one of our bona fide patented family protection trusts. So if we just go down, and again, a lot of this stuff, because we also understand that you're coming along the ride with us, that you do need to have technical, and this could be tax, superannuation, estate planning, asset protection, company, any particular legal or technical issues, you've got full access to us 7 days a week. You don't have to go and pay an extra fee to, a legal firm. You've got that included as part of your package, which is crucial. Why go ahead and, go down a certain point in time, cut your corners and come to us directly, or we can certainly have us for a second opinion. CPD and CPE training. Obviously, Michael, you're a tax agent and also an accountant. You've got a very large firm there on the Gold Coast. That CPD and CPE training, do you just want to talk to that a bit? And also about the CPD tracker. We might even get a Laura in on that, we'll see, but we'll let you have a crack at it.
Do you want me to talk about CPD or a CPD tracker?
Yeah, both. So just talk about the benefits of CPE and CPD training you're finding across your organisation. In
terms of LightYear Docs and LightYear Group offering we have is absolutely fantastic. I mean, obviously we cover off all the different required areas in terms of FSIR if anyone needs that, but I need CPD ours personally, myself, from a number of different areas, like I said, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the Institute of Company Directors, Tax Practitioners Board, the list goes on. But I receive, I mean, from a LightYear Docs user, I receive each quarter, or we might even receive it monthly now, do we, Laura? But each quarter or month, my CPD information in terms of our CPD certificates and everything. But what you're alluding to in relation to CPD tracker, we've been working in the background and to start up in terms of a agnostic CPD tracker that will be providing APIs into such places as the Institute of Accountants, CPA, into LightYear Docs, a number of other educational institutions in terms of tracking CPD points, and also those education providers being able to provide content into that CPD. We're just about to go through a Series A capital raise in relation to that. And luckily enough, it's actually, as I said, agnostic. So we're already signed heads of agreements with a number of other industries, such as engineers and Consult Australia, and we're speaking to a number of medical boards as well. So it's quite exciting. So that which will plug into the LightYear Docs new 2.0.
Which is fantastic. So the system we've got now worked really well for a couple of years, but it was used by more than 1 million legal firms. So virtually, this is why it's so different to any other system. You're virtually dialing into a legal firm. So with Abbott Morley, all the precedents, etc., you're dialing right into it and just using your data capture or the interview to complete it. But what we found is that it's like anything, technology changes and there's so much more offering. We found we actually got to a limit, and this is unheard of around the world, honestly. If you have a look at our big picture, some of our big picture strategies, such as the moat and castle, in that moat and castle, in one interview, and it's nothing like you've ever seen, you can upgrade a client's discretionary trust deeds, switch them to South Australia. Many of you may not be aware, but if you choose South Australia as a jurisdiction for your discretionary trust, the rule against perpetuities doesn't apply in South Australia. In fact, there was a case only last year where a Fairfax trust moved to South Australia in order to avail itself of no rule against perpetuities. So again, we're really on top of a lot of that sort of stuff. Back to that really big interview, there's more than 35 documents that are there. We see our vision going forward that virtually all the documents, or the core documents and strategies per client, will just be sitting there for you in one interview, rather than having to go through multiple documents to put something together. For example, if I had a look at the protector, that deed of gift and loan back, the first thing we need to do is set up a family protection trust. That family protection trust holds all our good assets. There's no excuse for anyone these days putting assets in the wife's name. It's extremely dangerous. There is no asset protection from a family law perspective if the assets are in the wife's name. It is far better to be in a family protection trust. Once we establish that up with a good, strong line of succession, only bloodline beneficiaries, the ability to build sub-trusts as we go down to the next generation, because it's been built in South Australia, and having a really good, strong, special purpose corporate trustee that folds in with the family protection appointer, then we can go about and determine what the actual equity value or the net worth of the client is in their jet skis, their AMG cars, in their investment properties, their family home. We work out a consolidated number. And that's why these strategies are really important for accountants, because you have that data, you have the details. And most of you are probably really frustrated when you're dealing with lawyers and you're going to put a strategy in place, whether it's a will or whatever. You have to do all the work, send it over there, and they make all the money. Well, not with LightYear Docs, it's the other way around. We give you the tools to actually build stuff for yourself with Abbott and Morley's sign-off. So we go through, we build that family protection trust, we work out what that net amount is. So let's say it's $2 million. We then gift that over to the Family Protection Trust. There's no change in legal title. So you still get all the same tax profiles and the personal names, still get the negative gearing, still get the principal place of residence exemption. But what happens from there is we gift over that. But you can't just gift equity. There's no such thing as equity. It's a very ethereal or ephemeral. So what we do is we have a promissory note. That promissory note hits the balance sheet of that Family Protection Trust. It is then used and passed back to our gifters, who are the people seeking to reduce their liabilities outside. And effectively, that's then lent back. And then we register, if there's properties, we register those properties as second mortgage, and then through PPSR. And obviously, we stamp the deeds. Now, that's a service that, again, is provided by Michael's other business, Eventum Optimum. Just want to talk about that pretty quickly there, Michael.
Yeah, that's just one of the sister partner solutions we're talking about. I was mentioning at the start, we've got EO, which provides mortgage registration. So as Grant in particular alluded to in terms of that family protection process, but we can also do other mortgages outside of that. We also provide PPSR registration process. So we do loan and security deeds. And I tend to use that strategy alongside the LightYear Successor Director solution when I'm setting up a new company. And so we package up that. So in terms of when you're initially setting up, but also if you've got a loan subsequent, obviously to the establishment of a company or a trust or another entity. And with that, we have a straight through process that comes from LightYear Docs to EO that handles that mortgage registration, PPSR, and also, as Grant said, trust deed stamping.
Which is absolutely perfect. So once we've got that in, we've got it locked and loaded into that Family Protection Trust. So that if we did a quick balance sheet of the client owes nothing. Sorry, it owns nothing, but owes everything. So that in the event of a litigation, effectively what we call it, we've put a moat around their castle. So they've still got all their properties, but all the wealth is sitting over in that Family Protection Trust. And it's all secure thanks to Eventum Optimum. From that perspective, it helps with the litigation. For the trustee in bankruptcy, then they've got a 4-year clawback because we've gifted the assets over. However, we're finding, and again, part of Michael's business is that they do great negotiating with debtors, etc., for clients who are in huge strife. But I'd be right in saying, Mike, that effectively, once you put the protector in, as soon as it goes in, it provides help. It's that 4-year rule isn't set and forget. We find a lot of liquidators want to get in and negotiate, and then after a couple of years, they tend to just let it run. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the main core business of EO is in relation to business turnaround, and obviously we deal with insolvencies as well. But that is correct, Grant. As long as it's in terms of when you're using those strategies, they're solvent at the time, then that's fine.
And again, this is one of the things. So we talked about bankruptcy. We've talked about litigation. The other one is family provisions claims, and I'm going to give you a really good strategy very shortly that's guaranteed to make you $30,000 to $40,000 in the next 3 months. So just wait on that one. And it's very important with the CAS 360. So we'll go through that one. But essentially from that one, the big one that you have to look out for is now the tidal wave, the tsunami of family provisions claims that are making their way to Supreme Courts around Australia. You may not be aware, even from your own perspective, that if you pass away, your will generally means nothing. It can be torn up and thrown into the shredder in a Supreme Court action as a child, a grandchild, even friends and spouses, and can you believe this, ex-spouses make claims on your estate. Whether they're looked after directly or they simply believe that they haven't been looked after enough, they can make a claim. And there is thousands of no-win, no-fee lawyers who will take that up. And the issue about that is that usually wills are very, very clunky, clumsy efforts. And we see a lot of lawyers put superannuation over into the will, which is dangerous because as soon as it hits that Rubicon, it goes into the estate. Essentially, it means it's going to be carved up over the next 3 to 4 years if there's a challenge there. And more importantly, the legal fees will decimate the estate. There was a case in Western Australia, Miller versus Taylor, 2013. Dad died, left everything to his 2 children, but he'd had a spouse. The ex-spouse made a claim as de facto. She ultimately ended up winning a third of the estate, but of the $600,000 estate, more than $500,000 was set aside for legal fees. Can you believe that? So it was a complete joke in the long run. There was even a family provisions claim 2 weeks ago where it sought to be struck out because it had gone to the Supreme Court. Can you believe this? For a $50,000 estate. It had gone to, again, let me say this, a $50,000 estate. So our goal with that protector, just one of our many strategies, is to effectively, if there's nothing in the estate, there's this loan that goes back to the Family Protection Trust. The executor must pay the loan before they can distribute everything. And that's crucial because that then means that it doesn't matter what the will says, there's nothing in there, which then means we start to build those family protection trusts as living trusts, where when mum and dad die, the children can either come in and have their own little separate sub-trusts in there, alternatively take the proceeds out and build their own family protection trust. And we're finding it's quite amazing once you show this to clients that then if their children get involved, the children also want to go through this process. And that's absolutely crucial. At LightYear Docs and Abbott Morley, at Venom Optimum and our groups, we're about strategies and building strategies for you. At Abbott Morley, we don't see clients directly. We'll only ever work through accounting firms. So in our companies, in fact, I might get you to go through that one, Michael. So that's your bailiwick. You're the king of the companies, the guru of the companies.
Sorry, do you mind if I just interrupt? There's just a question in there about gifting real property to the Family Protection Trust.
Mm-hmm.
They said, wouldn't it attract a large land tax?
It would depend. If you're in, if it's in your own name, absolutely, that's a really good point. But the big issue is if you go back and rewind, so if I go back, the legal title never changes. The legal title on that property stays in your own name. The legal title, sorry?
We're just gifting the equity.
Yeah, you're just gifting the net worth. Otherwise, it'd be, forget about the land tax, the big issue would be stamp duty and capital gains. I can gift the net value of a jet ski worth $20,000 over to the Family Protection Trust. I still own the jet ski, but now it's been 100% indentured, 100% loan into that Family Protection Trust. So it's exactly the same. For example, to look at it a different way, it's, for example, our Family Protection Trust is acting as our second, or in some instances, our first banker. So good question. But again, the whole premise here is we do not change legal title. Otherwise, we miss out on that tax profiling. So, Mr. Companies.
Yeah. We also, I mean, it depends as well. I mean, if you're just buying and about to purchase some, we also look at in relation to using those entities for acquiring as well. But I mean, very good question in terms of land tax and everything. And I mean, whilst we look at taxing, obviously a large thing behind a lot of these strategies is also asset protection. So asset and risk protection comes first, then obviously we'll roll that from that. But as Grant said, to now onto the companies. So we've got our standard company has about 8 different types of share classes. We can easily customize and add to those. One of the great things about LightYear Docs, and we'll continue this forever, is that our ability to make changes on the move as well and additions. If anyone has, like we constantly are, aren't we, Grant? Whilst we've got 8 multi-classes across them, we will add if someone wants a special type of class or a special thing, and we get those. We can get those documents where I'm saying we're quite fluid, flexible. We can get those documents back out to you same day. Other document providers have to code, recode, do a whole heap of other stuff, but we can customize a document as and when needed, depending on the customization, obviously, whether it needs further legal sign off, and we can have it out sometimes within the hour back to our members and users. So
That does make a big thing, because we're whether it's Tim Munro bombarding us or someone, I just had a meeting with an accountant the other day who's one of our users, and said, look, we've got a company and, got a couple of partners in there. And, sometimes one of the partners in the company works a lot harder because the other one's off for a year or so. So we want to have different classes of shares. So it's like a founder or a proprietor share. And again, so that's something that we've taken on board, and then we'll insert into the standard company for your benefit. If I could just say something there quickly, Michael, which is important, and this is a strategy that will make you a lot of money. First off, ASIC warned many years ago that if you've got a sole director company, you're in huge strife. If they go bankrupt, they're incapacitated, or they die, who is going to run the company? In fact, don't worry about running the company. If it's a trustee company for a discretionary trust, or a trustee company for an SMSF, who's actually going to be able to take money out of the bank accounts? If it's in a business or a trading company, who's actually going to be able to pay wages? Because if the sole director's gone, the whole thing falls to pieces. So what we've built into our companies, again, it came from Tim Munro and said, look, what do we do with this? So we did a lot of research. We looked at alternate directors. That didn't work so well. We looked at corporate powers of attorney, which is not too bad for trusts, but it's better to have an evolution across all trusts and companies. I had one the other day, a client had 9 different companies, all single director. And if he'd fallen over or something, that whole thing would have fallen to pieces. So what we've got is a successor director solution, very easy to go into play and effectively upgrade the company constitution. So all our constitutions have that successor director solution built in, even our special purpose SMSF trustee company and our special purpose family protection company is, again, so that if something happens, a new person can come in as that director. Most of our advisors and our accountants are charging $350 for that. So you do the maths on how many of your clients need that successor director solution. And it's not just for sole directors. It's also if you're in a partnership with someone else, you don't want to let their interest take control of yours because you've been sick. So successor director, absolutely crucial. So back to you, Michael.
Yeah, it is. And as I mentioned before, Grant, that every new company, and I've spoken to this on LightYear member webinars and everything, my strategy is I do that successor director. I also put that loan security with the PPSR because the company hasn't got money to set up itself. So there's immediately a loan in from the directors or shareholders. And we do it as a revolving loan so they can add more money if they need to over time. And then they're a secured creditor against others within the entity, such as the ATO if you lodge on time, and other unsecured creditors. But and the power behind what I'm getting to there is that all of a sudden, what can you charge for that value that you're adding to your clients? Because you're rating successor director, you're securing the monies that put into the company, and you've set up the entity for them. I know a lot of people have clients go online now and say, hey, I can buy a company for this. And we all know that they go ahead and stuff the whole thing up. But this provides a strategy and solution in which you can put value in terms of how much can you charge for that company? You know, I'm charging 1,800 plus GST. Some others are charging 2,200 for having all that 3 strategy with the company set up and those other 2 strategies wrapped in. So LightYear Docs is heavily in relation to strategies, but special purpose company, ours has got non-dividend shares, which I'll let Grant mention, but effectively under the SIS Act required to have, you can't pay dividends to that trustee company. And so our SMS special purpose company only has the ability to issue non-dividend shares. Isn't that correct, Grant?
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you do that. In fact, the benefit of if you do have a special purpose corporate trustee, or you can actually upgrade to ours, again, the cost is only $99, but it's around about, if you pay $350 to ASIC, effectively you get 10 years of fees payable up front. So there's some good discounts there around special purpose corporate trustee. We've also got, not only just with that, we've also got these family protection leading member trustee companies. Again, we talked about the weakness of successor director, but there's also the weakness in terms of shareholding. It doesn't make sense that if everything sits across that red line, for example, that we've got a trustee company, you think about your own trustee companies for your discretionary trust, or alternatively your SMSF. It's great to have the successive directors in there, but the problem is if the shares are in the individual's names, then that becomes part of their entitlement or effectively their estate. And so then, again, we come from that legal perspective. How is it going to be attacked? So from a family provisions perspective is obviously, and we've seen from our experience, that litigators will then go and attack those shares, prevent the executor doing anything around those shares, freezing up family trusts, freezing up discretionary trusts, freezing up SMSFs, until it gets to a negotiation position where everyone is sort of thrown out. So what we've got there is that in that line of succession, that leading member, that family protection appointeur, we need to have first generation. So it might be dad and mum, then second generation, and even going down to the third generation if you're playing in South Australia as a jurisdiction. Because what will happen is if something happens to, for example, dad gets litigated, becomes bankrupt, becomes incapacitated or dies, then it automatically goes down to the next person. So that's the way the trust works. But up in the corporate trustee, what happens is their shares are cancelled and new shares are issued to the next family protection or leading member appointeur. And you can see that slips those shares completely outside. And the good thing about it is because they're special purpose, they're non-dividend paying, there's no capital gains tax effect or no stamp duty effect. But in terms of asset protection, there's a huge impact there. Okay, other structures, trusts. We've got so I'm just going to go through everything now, but look, we've got heaps and heaps of strategies there for you. One of the ones that Michael was talking about before, what we're bringing out a little bit later on, because a lot of your clients, would I be right in saying, Mike, a lot of your clients have got, for example, loans into, or they put money into companies, but there's no documentation around being a loan. So it's obviously treated as equity. And if something goes wrong, they're turfed right down the toilet. So one of the strategies where we've got, Mick does the right thing and sets it up properly right from the start. We're all sitting on a lot of companies they're sitting in Cash 360, whereby there's been money injected in, but there's no indication of whether it's equity or a loan. So what we're having is an ability, there's a strategy we're building, which will be available in new LightYear Docs too, that essentially it will be a loan agreement which will then be ratified. So it's virtually like not a backdating. So legally what happens is there's this loan agreement was put in at this inception of the company. Since that time, there's been this amount that's been lent out, and it's ratified by the lender, being the individual, and also the borrower being the company. So those sort of little strategies can make a huge difference to your clients. I mean, what happens there? I mean, obviously, when you, if you're the shareholder there and you've lent money in, do you do a mortgage over the assets there, Mike?
No, we'll do a PPSR over in relation to whether there's funds lent in. But I mean, it depends what you're trying to achieve. If there's an asset, then we might put a hire agreement with PPSR on it. But I mean, if it's funds lent, then we'll put that PPSR. There's, you just got to be cautious in relation to what they refer to as brown periods and stuff in terms of when the money was lent. We do have a number of strategies we can assist with at EO in terms of if that is the case and you've gone out, because you have 28 days to register that PPSR from the actual cash transaction. But there's ways to potentially recycle that as well. But there's other strategies we can put into place as well, working alongside Abbott and Morley as well.
And I think this is the important thing, and you can see up here, again, I just want to focus in on a couple of things, is that all our documents, whether they're companies, special purpose companies, that the Bloodline companies here, the trust, we've got the standard discretionary trust. It's a brilliant work of art as far as I'm concerned. We've got family protection trust, which I talked about before, leading member Bloodline Lineage Trust. So the only beneficiaries are the Bloodline members of the family, and we find that that's extremely strong. We've got unit trust, fixed unit trust for New South Wales for land tax, which was a great little segue there. So thanks for that, Alora, for putting that in. We offer testamentary trusts as well, and they can either be established within the will, or we prefer really to be established post-death prior to probate. Again, that's something that you can effectively do. The Superannuation Proceeds Trust, which is fine, so you can either do that directly from a self-managed super fund. So our preference, again, if there's a family provision potential issue, is just to set up a testamentary trust directly with superannuation proceeds. And that can be both SMSF or retail or industry funds, so it sits outside the estate. Hybrid trusts, most of you are probably pretty well aware of those. They're unitised, but the unit holder has the ability to distribute to a number of parties. All our trust distribution resolutions fold into our trusts. We've got special purpose superannuation investment trusts that ensure that they comply with the SIS Act. And then we've got our SISR 1322C trusts, which are great for joint ventures, etc. Our other skills, obviously, in the property development, we have commercial leases. We've got a lot of what we call our business protector, which is looking at assets sitting in a trading company or trading trust, transferring them over to that family protection trust, which is the risk-free trust, and then licensing them back. Again, these are multi-document solutions which are available on our system.
What I love too, Grant, just while still got that trust thing on, is we actually had a member, as you're aware, on a webinar just about 2 weeks ago, actually called us LightYear Docs hot. The house or the home of trusts, and we love it. We've got it out on social media now, and you can just see the reason behind why that comment was made. You know, we've got hot documents, we've got a hot team. We're coming in hot.
Yeah, which is also important. It's good for the CAS 360, but BGL and all that have great systems around the trusts, etc. So that we want to make sure, and we've got some more coming down the track, which are more exciting. So we're great believers of trusts. SMSFs goes without saying, but what we're finding from a practical perspective is that around the SMSFs, budgetary constraints, you're starting to see caps put on contributions, etc. Now we've got a whole lot of things like contributions reserves. We've got a standard SMSF, the leading member SMSF, with a centralised control. So as I said, you're using the EPOAs. So members can just be members of an SMSF without having to be directors or trustees, and that's straight out of ATO rulings. We have a nice little one that many of you probably may not be aware of, but it's a real hit with the clients, is that when mum and dad have passed away and money's in the superannuation, is transferred down to the adult children. Again, we like to pay it out directly, and it can be paid out directly into a testamentary trust, so that children in there are taxed at adult rates. But effectively, if it goes out there, generally it's up for the taxable component at 17% tax, unless we can establish bona fide that they were being financially dependent. We do a lot of rulings there to the Commissioner of Taxation on financial dependence. For example, if there's $1 million payout, $170,000, you don't want to be paying that to the tax office. So if we can show that there's ongoing continuous support, and you can do that through one of our family allowance agreements, which is up on a site, so that families pay X amount of dollars to their child's family. So it makes all those components, or all those individuals and children, spouses, etc., in that family financially dependent, which then enables us to do, for example, I did an accountants discussion group yesterday, showing them how to build a pension that goes from, say, John Smith, the patriarch of the family, and then goes directly down to the grandchildren, so skips a generation. And again, they receive it tax-free. Again, it's tax-free inside the fund. So those multi-generational pensions are pretty exciting as well. We've got our contributions suspense accounts. I talked about the SMSF Death Benefits Trust, which is that testamentary trust. The SMSF Will, which I love, you can go on, and Laura looks after all the blogs, and each Friday we've got blogs, and last week I think I did one on why not a BDBN, but effectively an SMSF Will, how to do it and how to do it properly. This week I'll be going into that protector, talking about why all of our clients and ourselves, anyone who's got your name on a legal title, is effectively exposed at 5 levels. So watch out for that one. Again, if you're not on our site, all you have to do is just jump on the site. There's no cost to get in there, but you'll find we've got a strategy centre which has got huge amounts of technical questions, which we've answered over time over the last 2 or 3 years with our clients. Plus, there's more than 140 hours of webinars and training. So there's everything you can possibly want sitting in there. We've got related party lending packs for both the unit trusts, for shares, and also property. And they all match with the Commissioner's guidelines PCG 2016/5, which has 6 or 7 documents. Our capacity is the ability to bring all of those documents into one simple interview. We've got back lending packs, wind-ups, establishments. Also, when you do establish, you'll find there's an asset guideline, 216, which effectively enables accountants and also tax agents. If a client comes to you and says, I'd like to set up a self-managed super fund, you're able to do so, provided you give them a letter saying you're not a specialist or you're not a licensed advisor, and the SMSF has been established on their behalf. You tick a box in our system, and that letter is then produced for you. Okay, so I just want to go in. We'll go for like the next 10 minutes. If there's any questions, just put them up on the forum. Michael or to them. We talked about that gift loan back. That's generally between 5,000. I have seen instances depending on how much you're sheltering. If it's up around about $7 to $10 million, then effectively it could be up around the $15,000 or $20,000 mark. But essentially, if you're on our unlimited pricing platform, which is $7.95 per month, you can create as many documents, as many strategies as you want. The only thing you have to pay for is, of course, any ASIC fees. Otherwise, you can just stay on a document by document solution at $99. Successor Director, I talked about that one as well. So it's very easy to go onto a system, do multi-companies, clean up the bucket company, clean up your trustee companies, and if you've got a trading company as well. So effectively do that and charge $350 per company. EPOA wills, SMSF wills are multi-generational. Generally, most of our accountants charge $2,200 for that. If you want to bring in Abbott and Morley, we'll do sign off on it for it. So we'll review it, have a Zoom meeting with the client. So now become our client, and it's essentially $495 a person. So you can see the way we do estate planning is to provide maximum revenue for you with little PI exposure altogether. Upgrading companies, corporate trustees and discretionary trusts to succession in those bloodline structures, that family protection trust, leading member. If you've got existing discretionary trusts, I strongly advise that they should be taken to become leading member trusts and corporate trustees. So again, as Michael said, can charge anywhere between $1,200 to $3,200 for that. Okay, so that's it. Again, this is the roadmap. I won't spend much time on that. You'll get this PDF a little bit later on. I love accounting. This is a pretty exciting opportunity we've seen. We've just built what I believe is probably one of the best employee share trusts in Australia. And that's done through Michael at I Love Accounting, if you want to give it a shout out at that. And also talk about the partnership solutions that you do every couple of weeks, so that our users get full breadth of all the services and offerings that are available, and to make their jobs as accountants so much easier, but more importantly, a lot more profitable.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Well, basically each fortnight, Grant runs strategy and technical webinars, which I'm generally, I sit on as a panelist, but then the in-between, the next week after that, and then fortnightly is the subsequent fortnights, I run a partner solution series, which is providing, as I said, partner solutions that I've tried, tested, done due diligence on, that I bring to our membership base, and some of those are sister entities such as I Love Accounting and EO. They work very closely with the group, and such as Change GPS, we work very closely with as well, and BGL, but also other solutions we've got coming up this Thursday. For example, there's a credit repair type business that we work very closely with at EO. EO obviously works in that business turnaround, pre-insolvency, post-insolvency space, in terms of I guess more so businesses and companies, but then obviously generally when you have those issues, there's individuals involved. So that's where we have a wholesale relationship with Credit Reboot. They were the first in Australia to come to market. They've got a great application which has an algorithm that checks the Consumer Credit Act. So I look forward to that one. We've got some great ones coming up. We have Joy Song from Tax Nuggets as well, the next one. And so they're really solutions that you can put into your practice. And one of those is I Love Accounting, which, as Grant said before, is one that I sit over. Yeah, I sit across EO, but not as much as I do I Love Accounting. I have another director who is heavily involved with that. We also have a team that we're building up in relation to that, continue to build up because the work continues to flow through, which is great. But I Love Accounting is your ESOPs, and we're running through a number of those for our member firms. Yeah, Tim, I haven't forgotten yours. We're running those number of member firms, and we're also and for their clients as well. So we're holding a number of meetings in relation to, we have discovery sessions first up, then we send out further discovery fact finds. We meet again, and we effectively then enter into an engagement to roll those out. So it's quite enjoyable working closely, I guess, on succession planning for the accounting and advisory firms, but also in relation to their clients as well. So, and especially on the incentive and retention strategies that we're working through them as well. So that's, we're really enjoying that space and rolling those out.
And importantly, from our perspective as well, with BGL, that, obviously our existing system, once you set up a company through us, just feeds straight into CAS 360. Once you set it up, it's very easy. But with new LightYear Docs 2, which will be out in 2 to 3 months, we'll be feeding into the trust system and then working into Simple Fund as well, so the SMSF administration portal as well. And I've got a lot of exciting plans there. So to automate or roboticize strategies by using the two systems really well. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming down the track, and our two businesses will be talking a lot together, as we are with Change GPS as well. Mick's talked about this. Do you want to give another bit of a hash out on what you do there, Mick?
Yeah, and if anyone wants to shoot an email to that, we've got a great number of, we've got a few flyers in relation to those services, in particular the mortgage and PPSR and the stamping of trust deeds and documents that we can send out in relation to one-page flyers that have not only the process, but the documents we require to collect from clients, a little bit of information behind it, and also the pricing that in relation to each of those services. So shoot that to info@eventumoptimum.com.au. But as I said, that is the registration service that EO provides, and that sort of links into its whole business turnaround asset protection stuff that we do. And we work very closely with members as well in relation to rolling out, and Abbott and Morley as part of that, in terms of rolling out some of those family protection strategies. And as Grant said before, some of the 5,000, we have been doing them up to 25, 30,000, depending on the number of assets and what you're actually protecting and the value you're providing to the client. So, once you're starting to get up to 8, 9, 10, 15 assets that you're actually protecting through that, then obviously the price goes up because there's a lot more to do.
From this one, the other side, I'm about to jump onto a directors meeting shortly, just to show you where our vision is going down the track. We set up an association. There were 6 of us, including Tim Munro, the guys from LightYear Docs and other independent directors. We set up the Succession Asset Protection Estate Planning Advisors Association. So membership's about to be released, but we had our first 3-day accreditation course that went out in July, and we had more than 100 people turning up to that, and they'll be our first certified SPEPA advisors coming up. Most of those people were accountants, so we see it as a hugely exciting opportunity going down that track. That family wealth protection really makes a big difference. So instead of siloing and having trusts in one area, SMSFs in another, and wills, it's a matter of having a comprehensive look over the top and bringing solutions to the fore there. So we've got not only that in the LightYear training group, we've also got the SMSF specialisation accreditation as well. And as I said, more than 140 hours of video training, etc. So there's not that much. You know, if you have a look at us, what BGL provides, and also Change GPS, you know, it's a pretty strong coterie of education. So you don't need to go anywhere else, which is our whole goal, is to give you guys a place to go and a vision going forward, which is absolutely crucial. We're not just a document provider, we're actually creating an industry here, which is very exciting. If you need to have a bit further on us, you can have a look at our socials. But if you want a demo, you can see there, and we'll put out some information to you. But just get in touch with Travis at lightyeardocs.com.au. Say Travis, he'll take you through a demo at the site. If you've got technical issues or you want to have a chat about a strategy, again, just contact Travis and I can show you how to do strategies, or we can just go through and I'll cover any of your technical questions as well. So that's how close we are with the BGL crew. And we want to, again, what we feel is our number one skill is that support. That's why we provide 7-day-a-week technical support. And if you've got a client issue, whether they're doing property development at Abbott Morley, we've advised on more than $1 billion of SMSF and trust property development over the last 5 or 6 years. So we're really strong in that. We're strong in international, etc. So if you need anything like that, or companies or issues or insolvency, you know, you've got a really good team around you. And if we don't do it directly, we're going to find the person who's the best at it for you. So I'll hand you back to you, Mr. Daniel, so to close off the session. Thank
you, Grant, Michael and Laura. I just love how much you guys know and how much you're willing to give back to the community. And I just, the amount of knowledge that you have and the way that you think things through, I think has given everyone that's joined us today a great deal to think about as to why you are a great provider of document services and legal support. So thank you for all that you do. We love having you integrated into our product. And, you know, for those of you, I think it might have been mentioned, but the LightYear Docs Constitution will be the first one that you'll be able to grab from within CAS 360 within the next couple of weeks when you incorporate a company, and it will come at $99, which is pretty much unheard of. And we're pretty excited that LightYear is the first ones off the rank to be able to push this through. So thank you for all that you've done there, Michael, Grant and Laura, and obviously Ashley, who may or may not be listening. She was also instrumental in that. So thank you. But for all of you who'd like to know more, we will be having a recording of the session available made on our website. We'll send you out details of that. You've got all the details there to be able to contact LightYear Docs. As Grant said, Travis at lightyeardocs.com.au, but there's lots of ways to engage with them. But on behalf of BGL team, I'd just like to thank you for what you've done today and for what you've given back to our community. And also for everyone who's attended, we truly appreciate your support and for taking the time out of your days to hear about this great product and service. And we look forward to great things for you, LightYear team. It's an amazing proposition that you have, and we know that there'll be a strong uptake. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.